Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Total War Warhammer 3 Tides of Torment, where today Wulfric the Wanderer is going to burn this entire damn jungle down. Actually, it looks like somebody's gotten kind of a head start on some of the jungle over here. This area is looking pretty corrupted, which I guess is fine by us. I don't know how much we actually care, but I do know that we do passively spread the chaos corruption here. So you can see chaos corruption. Okay, it does give us plus control over the area. So as our units and buildings spend time in the place, we will slowly corrupt all of the land around us to look all spooky and lava broken, and that will convey positive effects to us and negative effects to our enemies. Right now, I suppose there's nothing for us to do right now. Nothing that is more directly on task than taking Port Reaver and finishing off this faction, right? Hexawatl lies just beyond, and that is interesting. Let's take a second and look. I talked briefly about these first two tech trees. We didn't really talk about the conquest panel. It's presented as a group of technologies, but here's how these work. These unlock when you win a certain number of battles against a particular faction, or you own that faction's capital, and then they give you the ability to gain some kind of permanent bonus that is roughly themed to that force. So like Slaanesh with the extra experience points, win 10 battles against Norska to get extra global recruitment capacity and recruit rank, win 10 battles against Khorne to get more movement range after raising settlements and more stats for your Marauder infantry. So these guys would be the Lizardmen. Win 10 battles against the Lizardmen or occupy Hexawatl would give us immune to psychology when fighting against Lizardmen. That would mean fear and terror do not affect us. Minus 10% cooldown to all spells. And also plus 4 melee defense for all of our monster type units. That's an okay bonus. It's not like totally mind-blowing, but if we can get a hold of Hexawatl, I think we should think about it.
Fear me.
For now, let's just bounce over here to Port Reaver. Port Reaver is going to be an obvious take for us. How are you guys?
I told you want to talk. How disappointing. I was restless for a fight.
Okay, they're kind of like slightly positive on us, opinion-wise. I do want to take over all of their territory, and we're just going to have to be clever about it because they do have a little bit of an economic base going here. One thing that's really great about Norscan factions is that if you defeat their leader in single combat, he will just yield his whole faction to you. We might be able to engineer a situation where we can take on Lost Ericsson, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I will not obey.
I am the Wanderer.
Why are you trying to get back on land? My man, just
Taking heed?
there we go. I don't think the arrows are pointing quite correct. I'm still on a pre-release build. This is not final code. I think if I had right-clicked on the town, it would have pathed correctly, but it was just showing the arrow. Kind of funny. Obviously, we win this battle. This is a trivial victory for us.
Strike first.
And yet, look at all the damage. Alright, and that's enough money to keep us going for a while. I mean, it feels like we should Chaos Altar again, right?
A dedication to the serpent.
More love for the Serpent. We all feel very strongly about the Serpent or whatever. We have become the scourge of mankind for beating men in combat multiple times. Plus 5 leadership when fighting against humans for the entire army. We really know how to take apart a human being. We've also gained a mountain scout here, although I think we already had one of these. Ranked up on the sea, so local income up from ports. And we did it. We have captured a settlement and raised an altar to one of our dark gods. Another little quest bonus. They love to give you these little functional quests at the beginning of the game, just to kind of guide you and suggest, hey, this is maybe what you should be doing right now. Try to get some of this accomplished. All right, so we're going to continue leveling up our Marauder characters, since our whole army is made up of them. Seems like a pretty obvious win. Our man here is leveled up, and I'm just going to take Plague of Rust all the way to the top. So the first point in the box lets us learn the spell. Second point in the box lets us overcast it and lowers the cooldown. Third point makes it cheaper, lowers the cooldown even more, and lowers the miscast chance. And
Let's fight.
is there anything? What do we want to build here in Port Reaver? Again, I kind of think the bonus garrison building is still not enough of a garrison to hold the thing if somebody wants to attack it. The fact that it gives you extra recruit rank for your armies in adjacent regions has some value. So you would like put one of these down if you're in a place where you're likely to be continuing to fight for a long time, or at least continuing to recruit. But one of these things gives us access to units. And I'm not so excited about the Marauders, but getting access to our Slaanesh type units and stuff. Yeah, I think let's start building that up. And the Isthmus Coast is in the same region as the Ziggurat of Dawn and Skeggy, which is the one that we particularly want to take over and turn into an actual settlement. So this here will allow us to recruit in this settlement quite all of the cool units that we have yet to unlock. Okay, we can upgrade this totem. I still intend to use this to dig out the pottery. We'll make ourselves a little pottery camp in the shadow of our terrible dedication to an otherworldly god of torture. And then we'll sell the pottery on Etsy. Or whatever the Warhammer fantasy equivalent of Etsy is. In case you're wondering what that noise is, that's this ogre here just yelling periodically, because they do that. Just standing in the forest going, brah, every 10 seconds. Actually, much more frequently than that. Here's the thing. Ogres don't want to be disturbed. They want to just hang out and have their alone time. And so they are dedicated to letting you know they are there so that you do not accidentally bump into them and then have to have awkward small talk. Just like you can hear the shouting through the forest. You're like, okay, just steer away from that. I don't want any part of that. All right, Lost Erickson has fled, which I'm a little bummed out by. Okay, notice we can see the war indicator when we are viewing a faction's moves during their turn. We are seeing things from their perspective, and so we can see that the Lizardmen and Skeggy are at war with each other, which could be very good news for us if one of them takes a big bite out of the other. This faction that just stopped existing, I'm pretty sure there's a Slaaneshi faction that starts the game around here somewhere, and I think they just got annihilated. Well, it's bad news for them. They should have been more careful. Alright, so while we're looking at our settlements here real quick, we've finished building up to level 2, and that means we've unlocked a second building slot. Now, we can build recruitment structures down here to give us access to a larger number of units. You can see here, if we build our Warhound kennels, we get access to Warhounds, Ice Wolves, and eventually Skin Wolves. Skin Wolves are very cool, very powerful units. And Ice Wolf Chariots. But keep in mind, because this is a small settlement, that is to say a four building settlement, its level can never rise above 3. And so we'll never be able to, for example, create a chieftain's hold. That's why it has the big red X over it. Because if the main settlement structure can never get above level 3, then none of the lesser structures ever can either. But unlocking more units to recruit better and more interesting units certainly is a priority. My other priority is just getting the place built up and completed, getting the 3rd level unlocked and everything. And so I think I'm going to, instead of building anything that lets me recruit units right now, right this second, I think we're going to build whatever gives us bonus growth. So here's income and control and a little bit of corruption, which turns into control over time. Income up from sacking settlements faction-wide. That's pretty cool. Huh. I'm seeing some... Oh, there are special extra versions of the buildings that you can upgrade to by spending spoils instead of gold. That's interesting. So if you build the spoils version of this, the Horde Pit, it still has the income from post-battle loot and sacking stuff abilities, but it also generates income itself if you have the spoils. Yeah, interesting. Okay, here we go. First dash. A little bit of income, a little bit of growth. We're just going to focus on driving the population surplus in this area up so that we can max out the size of everything we own and everything we're going to own. We might want to take over all the stuff that these orcs own. And I guess that is what we're trying to figure out right now with Wulfric. We have a pretty healthy army, full size, here, and we have to decide what we're going to do with it. I would love to get Skeggy under control, but it looked to me like Lost Ericsson probably ran back to the Ziggurat of Dawn, which means that with that 7-unit garrison there, he has about 27 units to defend with, and I don't really want to attack 20 into 27, especially considering that base Marauder units are pretty bad, and we have a lot of them at the core of our army. We have a lot of good, cool units too, including, of course, the Feral Mammoth, but I'm not feeling super powerful right now. We could go harass the lizard men, see if we can get their attention. Let me have a look at this. So we're going to step over into lizard man territory. Trespassing will have diplomatic repercussions. Look out. And then we're going to change stances. So every army running around the map is in a stance. The default stance, just called none, doesn't show any indicator over your head. But if you're in any other stance, you'll have a little green shield displaying what the stance is. And so you can see here we have access to a variety of different ways of moving our army around in the world. We can go into forced march stance, which gives us 50% more movement range, but means our troops are moving tired. We're more likely to get caught by ambushes, and we can't initiate battles while we're in march mode. We can go into ambush stance, which makes us invisible. It puts our army into an invisible state, but then any other army that gets within a certain distance of us gets a roll to see if they see us based on how good we are at hiding. And if they should blunder into us while we are still invisible to them, then we get to initiate battle with greatly superior positioning. But we're coming over here to raid. We're going to generate some income from raiding. We're going to lower control and growth in the province. Raiding takes care of some of the army upkeep because, we're just eating what we steal and stuff like that. And it's annoying. It's very annoying to have your territory raided because the money the raider is making comes directly out of your income. So I'm just gonna try to make these lizard men show themselves. Make 317 extra gold this turn. What was our other option? The raiding camp, which raids allows us to replenish and access the global recruitment pool while raiding. How is this? Casualty replenishment rate up, ambush defense chance up. It's not clear to me. I guess you can move around and declare battle out of raiding, which you can't do out of raiding camp stance. But we're not actually at full health on everybody yet. We'll make a raiding camp. All right. Actually, you know what? We should also look at do the ogres? Yes, the ogres have researched some better units. So next turn we could research. It looks like there's a cooldown on them for whatever reason. But next turn we could hire some better ogre units, so we very well may do that. Oh, right, back home. I think we're going to make the same decision here. Just focus on growth for the moment. And yeah, pretty slow going while we wait for our enemies to give us an opportunity. Bordeleaux, which we managed to grab vision over earlier, is sitting there largely undefended. It's a castle, and it has real walls and defenses and stuff. You can tell because settlements that have proper walls have a little, like, this little crenellation decoration above their name scroll. But it only has 11 units in its garrison. How
Let it be known that my noble charity allows less as their moment.
Armand d'Aquitaine only has one settlement. If we take this, he will not be able to retaliate against us in any way because he will be removed from the game. So you know what? That might be the thing next turn. I'm going to spend one turn raiding here because I already set us into raid mode and spent the movement. But yeah, we might just employ Seafang and go get ourselves some plunder. We'll see. I'm very curious to see if the lizard men respond to a bunch of Norskins being on the edge of their territory. Because they probably have other enemies elsewhere too. Okay, Lord Mazdamundi has come back with a full-sized army. You can see the bar to the left indicates the number of units in the army. So yeah, he brought back a full-sized army to sit behind the walls of Hexawaddle with a 14-unit garrison. That's gonna be a tough attack. We would definitely have to lure him out to have a chance at winning that, or we'd have to get a second stack of units going ourselves. I wonder if I leave to harass Aquitaine, I wonder if he will make a move on Port Reaver, or he's probably not friendly with the orcs that are to the south of him, and he has a bunch of dark elves to the north of him who are usually pretty hostile as well.
All have heard my name.
So it might be the case that he just has a lot of problems already. All right, we finished researching our Norscan hunter traps, and I think we are going to go ahead and just start on Secrets of the Northlands because I want to get to stronger ores as quickly as possible.
You can always kill better. I'll see it through.
Strong advice.
Ahead!
So yeah, let me withdraw here.
Stars make the best launch.
It is still an apparently undefended castle. I mean, yeah, let's do it. Let's employ the Seafang. Now, the dangerous part of this is I don't think... Maybe this is silly because I don't think Seafang lets you teleport back. And it does have a cooldown, right? I don't know. Listen, we're going to learn all these things. We're going to learn hot here. We're going to learn on the fly. So I'm going to press Seafang, Bordeleaux. You'll be able to do it again in 8 turns. There are no eligible armies to come with you. Maybe a smarter thing to do would be to sail over to Bordeleaux the old-fashioned way and then sail back with Seafang. Because, like, if something starts happening, I think we're going to have a hard time deflecting it without Wulfric around. And I certainly don't want to, I certainly don't want to commit Wulfric to this long period of sea travel where we're not able to do any harm. I love doing harm. Is this fun enough to be worth the period of downtime that it is going to create? I'm not actually at war with these guys right now. Are they at war with... Okay, right now, actually, they're not formally at war with anyone except Skeggy. I assume they were at war with that Slaneshi faction until they ate them. So... maybe he'll prefer to go after Skeggy instead of us. You know what? I'm going to do it. Let's tear it up.
They can run.
To Bordeleaux!
Seafang's always close by.
Wait. Before we go declaring war on an enemy faction here, a new faction, what we should do is we should look and see who is already at war with them. The Broken Axe, this goblin faction down here. And we should go to the Broken Axe and say to them, hey, would you like me to throw in against your enemies? I'll join your war. I will come to your aid for the low, low price of 559 gold.
Dinner time afterward, right?
All right, free money. I was going to do that anyway, so it's just free money. And in fact, Grom the Paunch has an army right here. He is totally about to take Bordeleaux. When I showed up out of nowhere and attacked. So Bordeleaux has, in addition to its defenses, all of these, in addition to its walls and stuff, all these guys waiting for us inside. Some spearmen, some swordsmen. They have some field trebuchets, proper siege units, but we have Grom the Paunch riding up behind us to help with his catapults and his pump wagons and his army of trolls. So obviously, this is a completely trivial victory. I'm gonna save us the time, and we're turning into an altar to the snake. I don't know if this altar is going to survive here, but I'm raising it nonetheless. All right, we attracted a mammoth tamer. I don't know what a mammoth tamer was doing all the way down here. As well as an ore slave who gives us a plus melee attack when attacking on the sea. We need to have a look at Wulfric's retinue. What kinds of followers do we have, and who could we have that we don't have? So we do have a mountain scout already. That's why we didn't equip the one that we picked up, because you can only have one copy of each guy. Okay, so you have all the right stuff equipped. We're going to finish leveling up plus 8 melee attack plus 12% weapon strength for all the Marauder units. Pretty solid. 8 is like a whole tier of melee effectiveness. We're going to finish learning about the Plague of Rust. We have mastered the use of the Plague of Rust.
To the four corners.
And what would we want to do here? Bordeleaux has, like I said, a unique port, and it might have been wise for us to take this and try to hold on to it, but it's surrounded by kind of a lot of stuff. My intention here was basically just to run over, burn it down, and then bounce. Interesting. If you build a wine production facility, it makes all your armies in the local province immune to tiredness. I don't know that that's how alcohol works in real life. Whatever. Never let realism get in the way of interesting mechanics. That's just game design 101. So, Wulfric's out of movement here. We did that, and then we'll probably leave, honestly. I'm going to go ahead and level this building up. And in Swamp Town, we are making the pottery thing. And then we're going to try to secure some trade agreements. We might be able to get some people interested. With these, we'll have a little bit more income, too. And, you know, this is not a huge amount of money, but it is perhaps enough money to consider upgrading our units a little bit. All right, let's see if Bordeleaux has much of a response. They have one little army here that was sitting outside the gates. When we attacked, you'll notice they fled immediately rather than serve as reinforcements. An army that belongs to a faction that has no settlements, you can see these like clouds of skulls coming off of it, suffers attrition damage constantly from having nowhere to get supplies. And so that army was going to die on its own if Grom the Paunch had not run over and smashed it with his lieutenant there. In fact, it kind of seems like Grom the Paunch is pretty in charge in this area. He's got an awful lot of dudes running about. We might be able to keep this statue up if we just make nice with him. Then again, he's probably going to want to build the port. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see whether he thinks it's a good idea to declare war on me and my magic teleporting boat. One thing we could do here, actually, is we could just sail up the coast, annihilating people. There's a lot of small factions in this area that just have like one big coastal castle to their name.
Issued, mighty lord. A great adventure beckons. Be wary, though, for while the potential rewards are great, so too are the perils.
Well, I do love potential rewards, also perils, honestly. Recently, the gods sent Wulfric a vision of a great and lauded Bretonnian hero atop a mighty charger. The horseman was drenched in blood, a sign that he was the next quarry. Thus, Wulfric led his army southward, sort of, viciously raiding the lands of Bretonnia's capital in an effort to draw the hero out, but he did not appear. He then learned of a small keep in Lyonesse, which contains holy relics, precious treasures, and stately heirlooms, all of which are of great importance to the Bretonnian kingdom. Seeing the opportunity, Wulfric has called upon his warband to immediately march south toward the venerated keep to attack it. The hero is yet to show himself, but Wulfric will get his duel one way or another. So, we would get the Sword of Torgald from this. A control boost to all provinces, 10 melee attack, some weapon strength, and... okay. An augment that we can have up about a third of the time that dramatically increases weapon damage and makes our attacks magical. I mean, that seems okay. It's not the greatest legendary weapon we've ever seen, but it seems all right. We'd be up against a bunch of Bretonnians, largely peasants at first, but reinforcements expected. You have to imagine you're going to end up with a lot of knights riding in on that one. So I don't think we're ready for this yet with the army we have, but that's something we can definitely work toward. So we have an army here.
Do you wish to duel?
Suffering attrition from no home region. It's pretty bad attrition too. And we may as well just go ahead and ride over and put them down, right? They're small, they're weak, they're tired because they're running here in march mode to try to recap the castle real quick. And putting down an Aquitanian army will make Grom like us even more.
I'll rip out gut.
Plus, we do love to,
Yes.
blood for the blood god, etc. Even though our particular god of choice is not exactly the blood god. Listen, they're all kind of blood gods. All of the chaos gods appreciate a little violence.
Time for blood.
We'll slaughter their captives, destroying the faction.
Speak.
Get ourselves a little bit more
I'm
XP.
listening.
So, in order to move out of this box and get on to the next ability here, Rally, we have to spend 6 total points. So that means we're going to want to max out one more of these skills. Who do we want to provide bonus stats for? Our people who throw things, our own cavalry and wolves and stuff, our trolls. I think I'm probably going for monsters. We already have a mammoth, and we have kind of a thing about mammoths. Eventually, we're going to level up to be able to ride our own war mammoth mount. Yeah, let's take bonus stats for the mammoths. So the first point's not too impressive, just +4 melee attack, but it does turn into some defense as well, which is nice. And eventually, it's +6/+6, which is
Can never have enough tools.
it's all right. It's all right. So.
More sleep grows.
Musalem.
I can tell. You come thinking to bargain.
Again,
but
a single
I
settlement.
already won.
Okay, the Red Duke is a very dramatic fellow, as vampires often are, because this is a spooky vampire knight faction. I think we could probably just ride up and take all their shit too, right? I see no reason why not to. Ooh, they have a real garrison. Okay, here's a reason why not. They have upgraded defensive structures. And there are actual good combat units in this garrison. Maybe we get in the water and just sort of sail up the coast a bit and see what's what. Maybe we'll stumble into a place where we can take another easy castle. This one's a little bit harder of a target. And if our plan is to hold on to this, like, what does it make sense to do with it? I guess like a bleeding ground, just a place where we can come back to and put our army back together real fast, in case we need to. Yeah, sure, and they're cheap enough to make. In our other settlements, we'll be waiting for the growth to kick in. So in order to level up to the main settlement building to 3, we need to have a 2-point population surplus. You can see over here it's going to take 4 turns to get there. Over here it's going to be 6. Yeah, so we're getting it done. Over time, it will happen. Oh, the Monstrous Arcanum unlocked. Right, we should have a look at that. Okay, next turn. Remind me, I say to you as though that is how time works. Okay, what's Mazdamundi doing? Mazdamundi is heading into Skeggy cautiously. He's in some kind of lizard man specific stance, which allows him to see everything. Wow. Plus 150% campaign line of sight. That's pretty impressive. And these guys were all coming over here because they were going to conquer Bordeleaux. Now they have to ride home sad. I'm going to be honest with you. If we have, in fact, sort of blunted the reach of a faction that was becoming the local overlord in any kind of way, I'm glad of it. I think that's super great. That's a super great thing for us to have done. Just want to slow down the growth of everyone who is not us. We might want to figure something out with these ogres, actually. Because I kind of like them being around and hiring mercenaries off of them and stuff, and I should have hired more mercenaries before this army left. I got excited. But at some point, if they're running around with these big stacks of marauder units and we have an unprotected totem, like at some point they're going to take it over. So we probably should try to do something about that. Wintertooth, which is the faction of Throg the Troll King, has confederated a lesser Norskin faction. Leoness has been slain by the Red Duke. Interesting. And we've been issued a quest. Recruit 4 units of the following types. Marauder Bearmen with great weapons, or just normal Marauder Bearmen. Your marauders speak of a feral tribe from Ursfjord in the far north, renowned for the bloodthirsty berserker-like ferocity of their raids. They are the people of Bjorg Bearstruck, the tribe of the bear, whose warriors commonly sprout claws, snarling teeth, mane-like furs, and bear-shaped muzzles, mutations most profoundly received by their indomitable chieftain Bjorg himself. Allegedly, Bjorg's great hall has been deserted for some time. not unexpected, since Bjorg's legendary forays are known to take him far. Some bearmen still raid nearby, however, and may welcome closer opportunities to pillage. Okay, so recruit some bearmen, and our enemies will be given soon greater cause to fear us. I love it when my enemies fear us. They want us to recruit 30 new units. So they want us to put together a second army at the very least, and we'll get some treasure when we do so.
No escape.
And I'm totally going to, but this is perhaps not the most critical moment.
I long to ride the waves.
Maybe we should just head back. Maybe what we do is we take this tour south instead of north, because it seems like the people north of us kind of have their shit together.
Keep in time.
And that is the number one sign for a Norskin to go elsewhere, as the people seem like generally competent here.
Sars make the best longships.
Where's the edge of my shared sea area? So this whole region, the Middle Sea. Had we had crossed over into Mistar Crossing here? Yeah, all right. So because we own one of the docks of the Middle Sea, we are able to take replenishment on it. I'm going to go ahead and put us into full speed, which is just march mode, but for boat. We're going to move down here. There is a big storm going on, and ordinarily the attrition from the storm would prevent replenishment, and also we might even be taking attrition damage. But again, Wulfric is the greatest sailor in history, and so he fears no storm. All right, let's talk about the Monstrous Arcanum. So this is a book that can reveal to us all kinds of incredible hunts to follow up. Glory hunts are non-repeatable hunts specific to certain climate zones. These capture regiments of renown units for recruitment, in addition to providing items, resources, and temporary effects upon completion. These are big and powerful and cool. Taming hunts are two-stage hunts specific to certain climate zones, which can provide monster units via the Monstrous Arcanum recruitment panel, in addition to items, resources, and effects. The initial stages and rewards are only available once, while the second stage can be repeated infinitely to bolster your recruitment pool. Trophy hunts are started in specific areas of the map and can only be completed once. Slaying a trophy hunt monster provides unique items related to the quarry, in addition to resources and also, if you would believe it, effects. There might be some. If enough hunts of the correct type are completed, it is possible to achieve Supreme Hunter status, which grants powerful effects. The conditions to attain it are specified in the relevant Monstrous Arcanum tab. So, yeah, tell me about Supreme Hunter. There is no substitute for spoils and conquest, true, but there is something more, something which they cannot satisfy. A contest of strength, wit, tenacity, and bravery, where the winner becomes legend. So get a trophy, a glory hunt, 3 stage 1s of taming hunts, and 5 trophy hunts completed to gain the trait Supreme Hunter, which sure does give you, 15% ward saves. That's just flat damage reduction for all Monstrous Arcanum monsters in all armies. Plus 20% weapon strength for them. Regeneration, that's a big deal. Okay, that's quite a thing. So, okay, we need to start with our glory hunts. We have access to Frigostrex, Sign of the Cold Void. These ones would require specific technologies. Okay. There's a monster hunter area here. Interesting. So, a dangerous, murderous Chaos Frost Dragon is a great offering to the gods indeed, and none are more dangerous and murderous than Frigostrex, Scion of the Cold Void. It appears only where the worst snowstorms fall, so to hunt it down you must battle the worst of the elements, as well as the monster itself. It is specific to cold weather, the areas with the frozen type. And if we find it and defeat it, we will get an Ancient Chaos Dragon Frost Scale, which gives 30 armor frostbite attacks, which slow enemies, and the ability to summon the frost a frost vortex. We'll get the Cold Voider, a Chaos Frost Dragon that we can recruit, which seems pretty fucking great, and some money or whatever. And a 10-turn buff called Glory of the Hunter, which actually is pretty significant. 15 leadership, 20% ward save for all characters, for all of our armies everywhere. You know what? I'm gonna nominate Wulfric. Let's hit the begin hunt button here.
I will slay this monster.
All right, so up in this area, we think. Find the monster and its army, engage in battle, and emerge the victor. Reward: the monster's location will be revealed. Wait, I thought you just said okay. The way we complete that quest is by finding the monster, and the reward is they'll tell us where the monster is. I think by that point, we might be good on that information.
All that's yours is gonna be mine, sooner or later.
Okay, what if we had a non-aggression pact, though? I could pay him 3,000 gold to make it less likely that he attacks us. It's not bulletproof. The AI will absolutely go back on these pacts. And 3,000's a lot of gold for us right now. But if it's enough to make him think even a little bit extra about attacking somebody else instead, I don't think it's going. You know what? Never mind. I don't think it's going to be enough to make a difference. I've had the AI break those packs too much. And the, obviously, like, the danger of attacking somebody else in the area instead of me is so significant. The danger differential that we have set up is so significant. Maybe I should start recruiting an army, actually. Reduce that danger differential somewhat.
There's no need for words.
Oh, here comes a
Let
formal
our
war
blades
declaration.
do the talk.
Yep. I was wondering how long it was going to take. Interesting, though. I thought for sure he would declare war on us and run down and destroy the Snake Monument on the same turn. Instead, he has elected to do something else. I don't know. We'll go have a look in a moment. So one thing we could do with Wulfric now is sail north, try to find that dragon, and then use Seafang when Seafang is off cooldown to teleport back home. But I'm not super hype on fighting a dragon with the army we have right now. I just don't think we have the ranged weapons. Maybe we could pick some up. Alright, sign a non-aggression pact with any faction for 500 gold. I guess I'll try.
Seafang's always close.
So I was thinking we would head down the coast and attack like Brion. Unfortunately, Brion belongs to a faction that will still have settlements if they lose Brion, which makes it a lot less of like a free just like take and destroy, because they'll reinforce it from elsewhere. What is this symbol? A nearby herdstone has blighted this region as the site of a beastman blood ground. That's pretty bad news for them over there in Bilbali. That probably means that there's a beastman army. It means for sure there's a beastman army somewhere nearby, and it probably means that place is going to get attacked by them in the very near future. I think I might just.
Orskans are sailors at heart.
Yeah, maybe I just reverse course and go for that hunt instead.
Eternal challenger.
If we go to our statue real quick, we get into global recruitment mode here. We're not high enough level to have any regiments of renown. Okay, so we do have we do have access to a ranged unit. If I were to add 3 units of axe throwers to this army, would that be enough to bring down a dragon? Probably not. My guess is probably not. Dragons do not like to have axes thrown at them. And you can see here, the icon here indicates that a significant portion of the damage here is armor piercing. Yeah, of the 28 damage they deal, 22 points of it ignores armor. So against a big tough enemy like a dragon, you know, a throwing axe is actually a pretty reasonable weapon. We could boot some of the normal marauders. We could get some marauder spearmen too. Yeah. Maybe that's exactly what we're doing. We can't really get marauder spearmen because we are, unfortunately, very constrained by the size of the global recruit pool. So basically, do I want to spend 2 turns swapping out a small number of our units?
World Walker,
I think I'm going to, yes.
what use for you? My
So we'll
challenge,
boot you guys out,
undeniable.
put 3 units of Marauder Hunters in the queue. It's a little slow, but it'll do. And then the question, do we also want to start recruiting anything in this area? Because we could start up a second lord, get our second army going, and just put a handful of units down. You know, if I get even to like half a stack, then as long as we're hanging out near Port Reaver, we have like 17 units with the stack and the defense combined to repel. Oh, the Ziggurat of the Dawn changed hands. Look at that. So real combat is occurring over here. You know what? Yeah, let me start recruiting. So let's pull together a new lord. Obviously, we are not entitled to call forth the champions of the Chaos Gods. We have 2 different kinds of lords we can recruit. Great shaman sorcerers, who of course, as you might imagine from the name, have access to magic, and marauder chieftains, who are more grumpy man with axe. I like to have a wizard in an army, if possible. You know, it's just nice. It's nice to have access to some magic, and obviously, if you can just get a wizard as your army leader, then the slot's full. You have the problem solved already. So our wizards come in 3 different flavors. We have access to the lore of metal, the lore of fire, or the lore of death. These are basically a lore is just a group of spells, a spell list. I do like the lore of death a lot. I think there's some really strong stuff in there. Lore of fire also for sure has some winners. I'm gonna go for lore of death, I think. Well, actually, I guess we should look at what traits they have available, because that might determine some things as well. So Borkil Raska here has a chance of wounding heroes who come to attack him in the night. Also, this unit can never have its melee attack reduced during battle. Not terribly relevant for a unit who's probably not going to be engaging in melee very much. You have Diabolic Splendor. Your leadership aura size is doubled, you cause fear and terror, and you are an icon of endless war. Huh. So he gives bonus leadership to allies nearby and drains their vigor? It must be like he drains their tiredness, right? Because like the flavor text is your guys are always as if they've just stepped onto the battlefield. Okay, so he drains the tiredness out of nearby units. That's pretty powerful. Stupid guy here. All climate penalties are nullified. It has low campaign movement range and a massive charge bonus. That's okay. This guy gets reinforced more effectively and grants allies nearby bonus reload skill and melee defense. That's interesting. Or you are cunning, which means your army is much more likely to succeed on ambushes, and you have poisoned your weapon. And you are confident, giving you the ability to make your some of your units at least immune to psychology, and also +2 leadership for all units in the whole army. I think I want to go with the Diabolic Splendor here. This seems like a great trait. So each additional lord recruited will increase your total army upkeep by 4%, and that's 4% on top of whatever their units upkeep actually costs. So the more armies you recruit, the larger this logistics penalty gets, and it can get very expensive very quickly. You can see we're going to have to pay him 250 gold per turn for upkeep, just sitting there, but it is what it is. I want to try to put together some kind of force here. So we've gained access to Marauder Spearmen, which are a lot like Marauders, except they don't have shields on, obviously. They do, however, have spears, which give them bonus versus large in the amount of 15 points. So we're going to start with pulling those. The global pool is already spoken for. We'll pull a handful of these together, and we'll see. Oh boy, if Targog were to just turn and attack Hexawatl right now, I think some really horrible things could happen to these lizard men. Lord Mazdamundi rode to Skeggy, and did he attack it? Uh-oh. They are bringing up. They've put our Port Reaver under siege, which is actually very frustrating because that stops the muster from occurring. We cannot recruit while the region is actively being blockaded like that. So we will have to decide on our turn whether it's worth trying to attack him with just the garrison of the monument. A lot comes down to exactly how powerful that army is. It looked like it was about half size, but we need to see what units are in it. Gosh, if I could get Targog to go to war with the Lizardmen, I think it could really do some great stuff for us here. And if not, we might be in a great deal of danger, actually. Alright, Port Reaver is besieged. A traveling clothier sets up her stall, offering garments tailored so masterfully they are like a second skin. All who don her garments become consumed by self-obsession, forever admiring their own reflections and refusing all other duties. Undeterred, countless more queue out the door. This is the work of Slaanesh here. There is some spooky corruption in those clothes, and so Slaaneshy corruption in the area is increasing. That suits us just fine. Win 10 battles with any single hero character. The most battles currently won by a single hero is 6. Upon doing that, we will get some armor, which is fine, and 1,000 gold. Okay.
Great shame.
So, like I said, we can't finish our recruitment because we're being blockaded here. What did you bring? We actually can't even see your whole army. What is the garrison of this? That's the wrong button. What is the garrison of this thing made up of? 3 units of normal marauders, 2 units of great weapon marauders, a unit of Norskin warhounds with poison, and then a single unit of marauder horsemen for range. It's a little scary. And then, of course, there is the Great Wizard to consider. So we know they have at least a couple units of Saurus warriors who are big, tough lizard men.
Won't be making any deals till you agree I'm in charge.
Okay, what if I wanted you to join my war against Hexawaddle? Is that a thing that we could make happen? It looks like he's pretty negative on the idea, minus 46.8. We do not have the resources or things to give him to overcome that level of distaste. So sadly, we are not going to be able to talk him into that.
What now?
So notice here the little skull and crossbones on all these units. They are suffering attrition damage due to being under siege. And every turn we don't make a decision, they just grow weaker and more damaged. So letting him siege us up would be a mistake. Whatever we're going to do, we got to do it now. But the good news is, because this is a coastal settlement, I believe I can just sail out, just cancel my recruitments, and sail to the south. It's not my favorite plan, because then obviously, first of all, he will knock down our statue, and secondly, he will take over Port Reaver. But it may be the thing that we are left with. It may be our only possibility here. We can't really tell anything about this army from this distance. This is grim. Everybody who isn't Wulfric is having a little bit of a scary one here. All right, I'll tell you what. I am, unfortunately, not in a position to be starting any big battles after this point in the episode, so maybe we should just call it here. I think we are in a little bit of trouble. When you come back next time, you will see how we weasel out of the scaly difficulties that I have found myself in, and hopefully we will see Wulfric returning home triumphantly, Frost Dragon in tow, to correct all of the wrongs that have been laid upon us. So come back next time for that, and we'll see you then.